So here we are with Mrs. James. Mrs. James is the candle maker here at Hale Farm. Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. You're making candles for us this afternoon.
Yes.
And what is that you're dipping it into?
This is mostly beeswax with some paraffin in it.
Uh-huh.
Of course, back in the day, they were using mostly animal fat that they would have a lot of this time of year as they were butchering the animals on the farm.
Uh-huh.
And usually the candle making would be done in the fall. It's a little cooler. You are trying to get ready for winter as well in those shorter days.
Yeah, I noticed that all the candles are the same color. Did they ever progress to the point where they were making candles for, of different colors back then, or?
No,
No?
not really. Your animal fat candles are like bacon grease. They're like a cloudy white.
Uh-huh.
You also have, of course, the beeswax. If it's pure beeswax, it's a beautiful golden yellow. There's also bayberry, which is a nice pale green,
Mm-hmm.
and has a wonderful fragrance. But, they just didn't bother to take the time to color their wax.
Did families make candles on their own, or did they go usually and buy them?
Usually, they made their own. Again, not trying to waste all that animal fat that they had. Because
Uh-huh.
if you think about it, if you're burning only one candle or so a day, still that's a few hundred candles you need to get through the year.
Sure, sure.
There are records from stores where there's a lot of wick being sold, but not so much candle wax. It's mostly people were using what they had on their farm there and processing it.
And time-wise, start to finish, how long does it take to make a candle?
Well, I guess I should say, if you work all day long, about 250 candles you can make a day.
250 in a day.
Yes. If your wicks are prepared, and you see it takes about 25 dips to make each candle. Here we are with just the wicking. After 5 dips, 10, 15, 20, and then here we have a candle.
Now this may sound like a silly question, but somebody that had a farm, where would they get the wicks?
Oh, behind you we have flax growing, and you'd put in an acreage of flax or so. It's that tall, thin plant there with the blue flower, the pretty blue flower.
Sure, and that's where they'd get the wick.
Yes, inside those stems are fibers, long, slender, tough fibers called your flax fibers. Those are spun on a spinning wheel and made into linen yarn. Linen yarn used for sewing, also used to be woven together so that you have your linen fabric for sheets and pillowcases, your towels, your dish towels, men's shirts, women's petticoats. You didn't want to waste any of those fibers because it's a long, difficult process to break down that stem without harming the fiber. And so even the little fibers you would spin on your spinning wheel, and that would be tow. That would be your wicking, tow rope, or if you wove that together, tow sacks.
Interesting. And earlier you were showing some of the visitors here some of the different candle holders that they would use back in the 1800s. Can you show us some of those?
Absolutely. This is what you would use at home. And again, this pan here collects any of the little fibers that haven't burned clean and they're falling down, any of the animal fat that's still spitting at you and
Sure.
and dripping would come down here and protect your hand. You can't take this out into the barn. You can't take this really outside. The wind will just blow it right out. And how dangerous that would be to put on the floor of a barn. So you would use your lantern there. And also something else you could use, almost like maybe like we might think of as a flashlight. You would take this and you see with this point, you could easily put it in between the chinks of the logs, or if you were outside, you could put this in some a rock wall perhaps where there's spaces, or you could hang this on a beam, and this would be kind of a quick source of light.
Now you could use that, I mean, to kill two birds with one stone. If there was a burglar out somewhere, you could take that out and you'd have a candle to see him, and you'd have something to poke him, right?
There we go. Now I hadn't thought of that, but yep.
Okay,
I
and
guess
then
that's
what
some
else do we have here?
Yankee ingenuity there. This is also something, this again, a very kind of a quick type of light source. You would put animal fat in here, and again, some tow, wicking that would come over here, and it would be pulling, of course, the fat over here and keeping that flame lit.
Sure.
You could hang this up as well
Uh-huh.
for wherever you need a little extra light.
Now one of my favorites that you showed them was the little tin case there.
This is nice. I think everyone enjoys seeing this.
Sure.
Made by a tinsmith, of course. Very lightweight, easy to pack in a backpack, a knapsack, what they would call it. In the evening, when you need some light, you simply slide this out and light it. As you have this perched on it could be a rock or on a log. As this is burning, it's going to reflect a little bit off of the metal back here, so it increases the light. But also, when you're all done, maybe reading a letter from home or looking at a map, you simply close this in where it's not going to set anything on fire, and snap it where the candle will stay intact. So,
Wonderful.
anything for travelers, especially men for the Civil War.
Well, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
And I've really enjoyed your discussion about candles.
Thank you.
And hope you have a great day.
Thank you, I will. You too. It is a beautiful day.
Yes, it is. Take care.